Hello and welcome to.
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined, as always, by my trusted partner, Matt. Pickett. Good to see your face, Maddie. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm having a great week so far, coming off the high of being at Lambeau this last weekend. I don't know if you remember last week, I didn't get a chance to say this, Don. Last week, I was wearing my Christian Watson jersey because he was back at practice. We were so busy talking to Justice Mosqueda, I didn't get a chance to slip it in there. But tonight,
I noticed.
I got my new Tucker Craft jersey on tonight. And in fact, at the game, it's the same seats that we were in, if you remember, for the Saints game. And so right by a corner of the end zone. And that was the corner where Tucker Craft had his barreling forward, touchdown right there. So I had a nice little video that I got and actually posted it on socials. So check it out.
I gotta find that. I didn't see it.
So still riding that high. Got to see my sister in Chicago, my mom and her husband in Madison, then drive up to Green Bay with my dad.
Nice.
It was a great time. There's a lot of driving, of course, from Cincinnati up to Wisconsin. It's a lot of driving, but worth it. So no complaints there. How you doing?
I'm okay, I guess. Sort of. Just was watching the Brewers game. Which was quite unpleasant. But since the Dodgers spend 3 times more than the Brewers, shouldn't they have beat them by a lot more than they're beating them? I don't know. It's just really sad because they've pulled out all these pitchers for the playoffs that didn't play in the regular season, and I don't know. It's just, you don't like to see that. But the thing is, sometimes we complain about the parity in the NFL, is that the right way to go? But if you don't do that, this is what you get. This is what you get. Completely, one team that can spend $6 billion and one team that can spend, $10. So I'm proud of the Brewers either way. Sorry.
I say, when you say people complain about the parity of the league, do you mean the salary cap? Because I think the parity is a really good thing personally. Or do you mean actually the parity?
Well, sometimes maybe I shouldn't say people, but sometimes it can be annoying, because the way that to get to parity, there are a lot of really weird things that have to happen, such as some of the very best players getting drafted to the worst teams. And so what does that do for their career?
Yeah, that's true.
Those kinds of, there's a lot of a multitude of little things that have to happen in order for parity to happen, for teams to be somewhat competitive with one another. So I don't like to see what we're seeing here with the Brewers and the Dodgers. But at the same time, super proud of the Brewers for getting that far, Yeah.
And it's not over for them yet, right? They could win out the rest of them. They could run the table. I know it's a fairy tale. Yeah. I know. But they could win the rest.
I'm watching it. Yeah, I'll watch. Yep. No, for 100%. But I know it's been pretty discouraging for the, not to have even one at this point. After blowing them out 6-0 during the regular seasons, the Dodgers could not beat the Brewers if they hadn't brought in all that extra talent that cost all that extra money. So
just as much as I'm still stuck in last weekend mentally from being at the game, I'm going to stay there too for the Brewers, because I actually watched the Saturday night game with my mom and her husband.
I wondered.
So they're huge Brewers fans. They've been to a bunch of games, and they cheer hard, like you and me and Packers. That's what they're like with Brewers.
That's cool.
So getting to watch the game with them was huge fun, especially because remember the Saturday night one was where they won that series. So that was a good time
against the Cubs. Right. In fact, I was going to text you and ask you, are you watching the game with any of your relatives while you're up there? Because you were there. I would imagine you would have been watching the Brewers game in some form. You wouldn't have been able to not hear about it at least. That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, I did look up some numbers with how much, spending different teams do, what the average is, and it's a for real thing. It's not made up.
Mhm.
So it's just something that makes you go, It is, one thing that the NFL sort of has right. Even though
Yeah.
it can be annoying in some ways, with players not having their choice, where they get to go, all of that. So, mhm.
Yeah, and I mean, I think your point about like a really good player going to like the worst team is kind of the whole setup. But you
Right.
know, living in Cincinnati for like 11 and a half years now, a lot of those years the Bengals were not good until all of a sudden they were really, really good and got to the Super Bowl, And
Right.
the fact that you could be, a fan of like a rough team that all of a sudden can like have this resurgence, or the Lions is a great example of that, suddenly they're good. And so if you're a
Mhm.
Lions fan, you don't have to go through like, 30 years of just awful football. There's always the chance that with the way how things are set up, it could a move in the favor of your team from time to time. The one team that should never get to be happy, though, of course, is the Browns, because of the kind of people they hire. So I'll just leave it at that. Suffice to say,
Yeah.
if they're going to have like a long dry spell, I'm okay with that, and not because they beat us, nothing to do with that, but because of
Right.
their organizational ideas and priorities. I'll just say,
Right. No, and there are some teams whose organizations have just really been hard to, be supportive of no matter what. And I think I might even have a little something in one of my superlatives about that. I'm not sure if I included it or not, but the Chiefs come to mind with, higher it's teams that I'm just really, let's put it this way. I'm very proud of the Packers for making sure that they hire high character only,
hmm
or draft high
hmm
character only. And if there's a sketchy past or a pattern of behavior, even if it's not actual arrests or anything like that, they're
hmm
probably not, they're going to probably pass on that. As for the Lions, I just want to say, after getting like top round picks for 50 years, you would think that they could have done better by now. So that does say something about the organization too, I think,
Sure, that was a
because it
sick burn,
doesn't
Don.
just you get the you just get the picks. You should really be able to do something with those, and they've had them for years. So, one would kind of expect, it's kind of like the Dodgers, is you spend that much money, yeah, you better win. You
hmm
better win, right?
Yeah.
You get all those first round picks, you better be winning, and not by a close amount. So,
hmm
that's my thought.
There you go. Of course, it's not as simple as the roster or even the
No,
coach. More
no.
goes into it. I mean, seeing the Bengals up close, living in the city here, you get a much better sense of like how terribly managed they are, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been hearing that.
Yep. It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great, Don.
Yeah. Well, like I
And it's
said,
not even the worst in the league. I'll say that too. But it's not
it's
great.
not, for sure. It's not the worst, and it just really makes me appreciate being a Packers fan. And if you're
Yes.
new to a sport, I think one thing I've learned is, looking, in my case, I grew up in Wisconsin, but I didn't really have a choice. But I mean, if I were just like looking for a team, I think looking at how the organization is run would be a really great
hmm
part of that evaluation, not just, being infatuated with certain stars and star power, because that's not going to be there forever. I mean,
Yeah.
athletes come and go, and star athletes come and go. So, um, looking at how the organization is run, how ethical they are, how they treat people, all of that, despite some people complaining. I was always going to be complainers, but one of them happens to be playing on Thursday Night Football tonight, but we're not gonna
What? I don't know who
mention
you're
that
talking
person's
about.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know.
not mentioning the name, but yeah, it's about the people. I'm sorry, I'm crabby. I'm crabby. I'm so crabby. I'm crabby. My cat bite started hurting again, so I had to go back
Oh
to the
no.
hand surgeon
Mm.
yesterday.
Oh
Yes.
Don. Mm.
I know, it's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah." So I'm not out of the woods with that yet. He thinks it's gonna be okay, but I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I hope he's right. I hope he's right. Well,
Yeah, no doubt.
Maddie, what do you think? Should we say hi to
Well,
the chat? Hi, chat.
yes. Let's say hi to the chat. We've been kind of ignoring them a little bit here. We have
Sorry.
Some good stuff coming in from True North, talking about the halftime show is brought to you by Just for Men with gray beards. To which Aoi Joe said, "I'm not average. Mama says I'm unique." Nice. And then now this is a weird one from True North. True North says, "My OCD can't stand Dawn on the left side of the screen." Dawn, you're almost always on the left side of the screen, aren't you?
I'm always on the left.
Yeah.
I'm always
True
on the
North
left.
needs
I think
to
there was
have
like one or
something
two
else.
times when I was on the right, and my OCD didn't like that either, but I didn't
Yeah.
say anything.
Indeed. And then we also have, let's see, there's a good one I was going to put in here. I threw it up there for a second. Uberfleche says we should always strive for parity, though. I like that.
Yeah, I agree.
day.
I agree.
Parity is good. Yep. And then North was on about the injury report, and also has Brian Branch tried to fight either of you this week? Brian Branch is on a tour. He's on a tour of abuse. I saw him running through town today, just hitting random people. He's going all over the place.
Yeah, well, that's what he's doing with his 1 week suspension.
1 week tour.
1 week for that. I do not like that. I haven't liked him for a while. So when I saw that happen, I was like, oh yeah, well, that's about right. That's the thing. These things are pretty predictable if you look at past behavior. Not that hard to figure out. But welcome, chat. It's nice to see you. What do you think, Maddie? It's time for this week's superlatives.
You blindsided me, Don. That was awesome. You're like, what do you think, Maddie? Boom, right into it. Like, no, I thought this would be like,
I will tell you, I did pour myself an IPA tonight because I just watched the Brewers game, the third game for the Brewers, and I felt like I deserved a little bit of numbing tonight.
Sure.
So
drown your sorrows in a little like pine flavored pint, right?
Mm-hmm. So, Maddie, how many superlatives do you have this week?
4 this week.
You have 4. Okay, why don't you get started?
Sure. Yeah, it's funny because coming into the week, I thought I wasn't going to have that much because I missed some time, like, getting as much podcast time in as I wanted to, which you would say, no, wait, you're on the road, Matt. That's a lot of podcast time. But there's some house stuff we're trying to deal with because we're moving soon. Yeah. And it's just on the phone almost the whole time with random people on my way home. So point being, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have much. And then I looked around today and I was like, oh, I have 4. It's great. So
wow.
My first one, Don, best nugget. All right. This game, I wasn't on my phone during the game, of course, because I was at the game. But then jumping on later, once we had kind of settled in for the night, getting on my phone quick, I was like, oh my God, people went wild on Twitter this week and on Blue Sky. A lot of great stuff. My favorite was this. Okay. This is from Matt Schneidman. This is best nugget. He said, get this. Lucas Haversick's mom and Packers long snapper Matt Orzick's dad worked together at City National Bank. Haversick's brother played with Orzick at Azusa Pacific. Haversick has trained with Orzick and punter holder Daniel Whelan in the offseason before. Easy as that. What? That blew my mind. I couldn't believe it.
What is it true that he was picked up in a 7-Eleven parking lot, or was that just a joke?
That's probably just a joke. Okay. That's got to be a joke. He's a professional athlete. Even if I don't think he was at the team when we picked him up. I think he was just kind of out there, but I don't think he was in a 7-Eleven parking lot now.
I heard he was just about ready to get his substitute teaching credentials and go to work as a substitute teacher, right? And
I think in Cleveland, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that. Very cool. I love that. Oh, speaking of parody,
can you imagine having a substitute teacher comes in and is like, yeah, I helped a team win a game in my last game in the NFL. I'd be like, wait, what? You did what? That'd be so cool.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, my first superlative is something that we've kind of touched on a couple times on this show. It's not related to this week's football games or anything like that. I think I needed a little bit of a cleanse. It's mid-season. I don't know what to think. The whole league is upside down, which is good. It's fun and it's great. But and then also with the Brewers being in the playoffs and my whole life going on, I just kind of have taken a different route this week. So the first one is called Most Mick Football. Okay. Remember we talked about how we get some of these names mixed up. We don't know who's coaching. Some of the names are just so similar to one another. And it made me start thinking, why are there so many Irish names in head coaching? in the National Football League. So let me go through some of these. So here are fully, for sure, 100%, no doubt about it, Irish surnames. Well, definite or strongly likely. Carroll, so Pete Carroll, Seahawks. Cohen from the Buccaneers, which I thought was Jewish, but I guess it's Irish. Gannon, Cardinals. Shanahan, 49ers. I did have Callahan for the Titans, but it's still Irish because now it's McCoy for the Titans, which is crazy.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
McDonald for Seahawks, McDaniel for the Dolphins, McDermott for the Bills, McVay for the Rams, O'Connell. I always want to call him McConnell, but it's O'Connell for the Vikings.
I do too.
More Quinn and Ryans. And Ryans may not be Irish. Who knows? But it's an Irish name. So 13. Well, let's just say 12 if we take D'Amico out of respect, because we don't for sure know. So let's say 12. That's 12 out of 32 teams are full-on Irish surnames. Okay, but there's more.
Okay.
Now we can add in Bowles, Campbell, Glenn, Johnson, Morris, Peyton, Reed, and Taylor, because they are some form of English, Scottish, and or possibly Irish, or combination of names that are used both right.
What?
So that makes So that makes the total. Oh, and Tomlin. I had to look up him too. So that makes the total of 21 of the names are either Irish, English, or Scottish, mostly Irish, strong bent toward Irish. So that's over 58% of all the NFL coaches. So why? Why is that? There's got to be a reason. So I'm like, that can't be a coincidence. So it's actually a fascinating mix of history, sociology, and sports culture behind it. So first of all, Irish immigration and working class roots. So millions of Irish immigrants came to the U.S. in the 19th century, settling in the eastern side of the U.S., Boston, New York, Cleveland, Chicago, and Pittsburgh. So those later cities became football strongholds in the U.S. Yep.
Yeah.
Both at high school and college, starting with high school and college, of course. And then number two, it was considered respectable to be a football coach. It was considered respectable. So for Irish immigrants and their children, football became a path to social mobility. We know about that still today. And respect, much like police, clergy, and politics, which of course is no longer, but back in the day.
Right. Historically.
Historically. So coaching and leadership in football were seen as honorable, disciplined professions that rewarded toughness, loyalty, and intellect. Qualities often celebrated in Irish American identity. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Also, yes, there's a reason. Okay. There's a reason we don't know how to work our way through all these names. Okay. 3, Catholic schools and the rise of coaching culture. So Catholic schools, especially Notre Dame, Boston College, and certain other numerous parochial schools nurtured generations of Irish American athletes and coaches. Notre Dame's national fame under Knute Rockne in the 20s, I can't believe that was the 20s, made Irish football an enduring symbol. The fighting Irish identity still exists today. That's right. And then networks and mentorship, of course, right? Irish Americans became early coaching pioneers, built coaching trees that mentored future generations. They often shared similar backgrounds, right? Came up through these Catholic or Midwestern programs. And so that network still echoes through today's coaching trees.
Wow.
Also, finally,
wait, there's more. Okay.
There's more. There's also an intangible side. Football values grit, endurance, humility, and humor. You got to have a sense of humor, right? Under pressure, traits long associated with Irish cultural narratives of perseverance and storytelling. So the pattern isn't random. It's legacy of Irish American immigration, education, and identity still visible in today's modern sports leadership. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That's why we have all these names. I had to know.
Wait, Dawn, wait, hold on.
Yes.
Did you have like things that you looked into, like sources, or were you just like you kind of realized this stuff? Because I think you're totally right about all of it. But was this all like
I did not write
original?
down I did not write down my sources. I went to Chat GPT and I'm like, why are there so many Irish names in But then I continued to probe and research, and I got a bunch of sources, and I didn't include them here, but
Sure.
Go ahead, challenge me. I see it. No, it's because I did look at the sources, and it's like, this is legit. This is for real, and it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is it definitely makes sense. If you had just like thought of that wholesale, I'd still be like, no, I believe you. I think you're right. But the fact that sources to back it up too is good. So.
I did think this was true. I was like, there has to be something here. And so that was, I think sometimes when you use search terms, right? Your search results are only as good as what your questions are. So I started with that type of question, like what is the connection between all the Irish surnames in the NFL coachings and in culture, in Irish culture? Is there a connection? And then I went from there. But it took about an hour to kind of like probe through all the different things, and there are really good sources, and I probably have the source. If anyone is interested in those links and stuff like that, please let me know. Yeah.
Our DMs are on all the social platforms, so you can always reach us through there if you want Dawn's sources.
Yeah, just DM us. So yeah, I just had to know. It's something that I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks, especially because I'll still never get the names right.
Oh yeah, forget about it.
Especially now. Okay, so McCoy, McDaniel, McDaniel, McDermott, McVeigh, O'Connell. Those are the hardest ones.
Impossible. Yeah, no, it's not going to stick.
Yeah. So, what do you think about Callahan just being fired like that? That was kind of weird, hey?
Oof, that whole situation is rough. I mean,
yeah,
we're not even that far into the season. Like,
right?
Yeah, that's rough.
Have they given up on the season? Like, Josh?
Yeah, is that a sign of giving up on the season, or is that a sign of like we think we can still rescue it because it's early enough? Like, I don't know. Or is it just like we need to do something? A head has to roll. I don't know.
You know the story of the ownership there, right?
The
longtime owner of the team passed away. He in his estate, he divided it the ownership of the team by three daughters or three siblings.
Okay.
With no clear like direction, and so they had to figure it out. And so the one daughter, Amy, I think her name's Amy Adams, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me, but I think it's Amy something. She kind of was the one who took interest in the team, but she has no experience. And she's like calling these shots, and evidently the McCoy was under Callahan and he cozied up to Amy and all that nonsense.
Ooh, okay.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I heard from Pro Football Talk. I will give that source because I remember it.
Yeah. And that's reputable source. Say what you will about the man. Reputable source.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, that was fantastic. That was some real good research and storytelling there. That was great.
I thought you'd like it just because I know you. And I know you think like I do. So hopefully our listeners will enjoy that too.
Hopefully.
Fighting Irish. So we could really call all of those teams the Fighting Irish.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. What do you have next, Maddie?
I'll tell you, it's like I just say Iowa Joe says, and of course the Packers have the one coach with a French last name.
That's
probably true, right?
It is. I checked. It's one coach.
Checked. Can confirm. Research has been done.
Can confirm. Well,
right, the my next superlative.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
The one head coach with.
True. Talking about head coaches here. So, my next superlative: best observation. This was just a simple post by Jacob Morley with a video clip, but I loved this. Okay, so the text just said, "This Tucker really jumped from the 4 and hoped for the best." So what he's talking about here is that Tucker Craft touchdown that I mentioned earlier. He had a video like extremely slow motion. You see what's happening in the video. Tucker Craft literally kind of like launches himself from the 4-yard line. So like, 12 feet from the end zone and makes it in, crashing into a dude on the way. And it's like, when you see that happen, you're like, the display of athleticism, of physicality that we get from Tucker Craft every week. That's why he's my favorite Packer right now, because he's just such a warrior. And that video, I was like, man, I saw it happen in real life, but I didn't even notice he's jumping from the 4-yard line. Like, what?
Right.
So it's
12
notice
feet.
that, posted
Yes, that's 12 whole feet.
Yeah,
in the air.
That's I can't jump that far. And I can't get jumping like my arm forward, like no, and running into me, no.
Face, head for right. Well, because I said 12 feet because I had to think about it's like 4 yards, and no, it's not 4 feet, it's 4 yards. That's 12
4 feet.
When I was young and did long jump, I would do almost 12 feet. I was pretty darn good for a little tyke, and that's a long way. But that's like a running start. You're putting your whole body, and then you're landing, you're doing feet. You're not like going this. I mean, you're not like flying forward. So yeah, that's a lot of strength. That's a lot of muscle.
Yeah, a lot of muscle, a lot of just brawn, just will, just
yeah. I thought that was in your corner. I was looking at some of these plays, and I'm like, oh, Maddie must have gotten a really good view of that one. Yeah, because it's like row 12 you were in, right?
Yeah, row 11. Yeah. The Josh Jacobs touchdown where he just like had a head full of steam and just got like 15 yards, whatever. That was same end zone, just not the same corner, but like you see it just really clearly. So, oh, good seats. Thanks, cousin Brad.
I like it. Oh, thanks, cousin Brad. I got to live vicariously through you. I think my sister's going up this coming week. Are they out? They're in an away game, but she's got other things to do up in that area, so they're going to go to like Stadium View or something like that.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that's the time to go when it's not super busy.
That's what she's hoping. She's not one to really love, not finding parking and all that. I sort of like, if you're going to do it, I tend to just be like, yeah, I'm going to embrace it. But I also like get a hotel and take Ubers everywhere. I don't like try to drive in, to the stadium area. It's so much easier just to have Uber do it. Did I ever tell you about the experience on the way back from the game? I think it was, the way back from the game that Katie and I had with the Uber driver.
I think you did, but I can't remember the specifics.
Well, he was really weird, and he was driving on all these back streets, and we were like texting each other and looking at each other, and she's like, I think we're going to have to jump out of the car.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, hold on. I think he just wants to talk, but he did eventually get us where we were going. But it was, if we weren't alone, if we weren't together like that, if I were alone in a situation like that, that would have been really scary. But even with the two of us, it was very odd. He was odd from the second he picked us up outside of Lambeau Field. It was, I don't know. I just made me think of that. Sorry. Okay, my next superlative, Maddie, if you're interested, it's called most curious. I've been curious. You know how I am. I'm a curious person.
Me too. We both are.
Right. So what NFL quarterbacks actually hear in their helmets during games? Have you ever asked that question? I have. It's like, what are they hearing in those helmets? Can they hear anything? What's going on? Okay, so Chase Daniels did a really cool helmet video, like what you're hearing in the helmet. But it gets better because Cam Newton broke down Chase Daniels' take on what you hear in the helmets. And he is so smart. Cam Newton. It was so good. I just feel like every football fan needs to just check out. I think it's like a 12-minute video that Cam Newton did. And then the Chase Daniels one, if you haven't seen it, called Inside the Helmet. And it's on YouTube. And it reveals truly what the quarterbacks can hear and for how long. I think one of the criticisms that in a positive way that Cam Newton had about Chase Daniels is he said his thing was like over 20 seconds, but in reality you get about 12 seconds So I've always wondered that, haven't you? What are they hearing?
Because it was like 10 seconds before, like last 10 seconds, it cuts out, like where you can't hear the coach. Is that what it is?
It cuts out. It could be mid-sentence and everything. There's nobody has any control of that. No, it's not like somebody's listening and cutting it off. It's just a certain amount of time. So coach could be in mid-sentence. Be like, I wonder what he meant with the last part of that. If you didn't get it in, or if you didn't hear it because of stadium noise, which matters. Yeah.
I was wondering, like, if you're the visiting team and if you can't quite hear the coach, you have to be like, what? And then you're out of time, like,
and it's gone, and it's like, it's over. Yeah. I got to figure it out. Right.
I'm gonna check that video out. That sounds really fascinating, Dawn.
Yeah. So it's on Cam Newton's channel on YouTube.
All right.
What do you have next, Maddie?
The next one, best recap. So you know how it is. There's a flow to the content, every week after a game. There's a lot of like recaps, people talking about it, then it kind of like blends into talking about the next game, right? That's the hourglass, if you will, the shift. And so this is to say, 24 hours after a game, there's like, I don't know, 1,000 recaps out there of any given game, a lot to choose from, a lot of good work happening out there. Well, one that I've always gone to that I've really liked, that I think I haven't actually talked about on here before, is the like, what are you trying to say here? It's like a report card, grades that Jacob Westendorf does for SI.com. I like this a lot because, especially when I saw the game, live, and instead of watching the game on TV, there's a lot to kind of sort out because I didn't see as much like replays. I mean, there's like replays on the Jumbotron, but with like commentary and all that kind of stuff. So you're kind of like, okay, that was a wild game I saw. What all happened? How do I contextualize it? Well, the way how Jacob does it'll be like, okay, the passing offense, here's like what they did, strengths, weaknesses, pluses and minuses from this week, and here's a grade. He does that for like every kind of phase of the game, so it kind of gets you thinking about like, how did this specific isolated part of the team do in the game this week? And I like that way for like kind of focusing my thinking on it and thinking back through the game, and like helps you also to pick up more insights, learn more about the team on a week-to-week basis with that sort of approach. So apart from that, I say it all the time, Jacob Westendorf is a really, really good writer. That was something I always go to. I only thought about this week how it's like I should mention it because I like it so much, but he does great work week in and week out.
Right on. I like that, Maddie. I just peeked over to the game that's going on. I'm so confused today. There's too much going on with baseball and football. Steelers versus Bengals at Bengals. It is 10-20. I can't remember what the score was at halftime. Did they do a field goal or something? But in any case, Rodgers just made a throw out of bounds, and that's all. I just wanted to check in on that game in case anyone's interested. Anything happens, please tell us in the comments in the chat because we can always peek over. Okay, cool. All right. So I saved my last one for the most kind of I don't know, not as fun and upbeat. Let's just say it's called most inconsistent. I was listening to some coverage of a case that I'm interested in, a legal case in Tallahassee. It comes up from time to time because this case just never seems to end. There's multiple conspirators, there's multiple trials and stuff. So it took place, the crime took place in Tallahassee, the trials in Tallahassee, so on and so forth. I think I've mentioned the prosecutor. Her father was a quarterback for FSU and for the National Football League and that kind of thing. So there's so many parallels. Anywho, I was listening to some lawyers from Tallahassee talk about this case, and they mentioned the Jameis Winston case. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, okay, I need to look that up because that's just how it is. So I reviewed what Jameis Winston did and what happened, and I ended up contrasting it a little bit with the Rashee Rice situation because we keep hearing so much about, I can't wait till Rashee Rice comes back. I'm sorry.
I can tell you're annoyed about it.
No one can shut up about him. I mean, I think he apologized. I think he took responsibility, which that's wonderful. And I believe in I do believe in forgiveness if somebody changes what they do and don't repeat the same kind of things again and again. But still taking that with like, okay, you're on, we'll see what happens type of thing, right? It's not, yeah, that's how I feel. Anyway, that's my feeling. Anyway, so then I started wondering, because we've heard criticism of the NFL's personal conduct policy and when they come down on players and when they don't. And I'm just like, is there any kind of consistency to this? Do people really get held accountable? So, or is it just a PR thing for the NFL? Well, we better do something because the fans are upset that we're not doing something, right? So I kind of looked into this. Let's see, how much do I want to go into this? It's I have a lot here. So basically, Jameis Winston. So again, this is Jameis Winston versus Rashid Rice, kind of the legal parallels in what the NFL did about it in terms of holding them accountable to the league, in holding up the league's reputation for, being upstanding. So Jameis Winston his allegation and charges included in 2012 a sexual assault allegation at FSU while he was still in college, but no criminal charges. Later, there was in 2020, like 4 years later, there was a groping allegation from an Uber driver that led him to a suspension for 3 games. That happened 2 years later in 2018. And that was, again, the personal conduct policy with the NFL. So he was also cited for minor offenses. This is what I think came up that I was like, what did he do? What did he do? He shoplifted crab legs?
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
What?
That's what I thought you were talking about in the first place. Yeah. That was
the last thing he did. So this is what I'm talking about forgiveness. It's like, okay, well, if you clean yourself up, you'd make a mistake, you do something really hard. I mean, you don't call it a mistake is too little of a word, but you know what I'm saying. But you never do anything again. But this dude is like shoplifting crab legs and making vulgar public comments. Okay, comments. So, all right. So nothing's happened to him since then. 2018 3-game suspension for the 2016 thing. By the way, I also believe if you're going to, like with a child or whatever, you're going to punish somebody for doing something, you need to do it like when they do the thing so they can kind of connect the two things. Yeah. But that's also a
super
problem
important.
With our legal system.
And animals, cats and dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because they're not going to remember you're mad at them for something they did yesterday or even 10 minutes ago. It's got to be like immediate. So with Rashid Rice, of course, he was involved in a high-speed crash in Dallas in 24. Just last year, multiple injuries occurred. Thankfully, no deaths. But he did have criminal charges in his case. So in some cases, very little did Jameis Winston actually have criminal charges. So this is interesting. So anyway, he was racing on a highway, and then he walked away. But he did plea, which means he pled guilty. He said, I did it. I'm sorry. He showed remorse to the judge. He got ultimately like 5 years probation and 30 days in jail, and then restitution to the victims. And for that, the NFL stepped in, but only after it was resolved in criminal court with his 6-game suspension. And whether or not he served his 30 days in jail or not is like a whole thing, because in his case, because it's kind of tied into the probation, it doesn't have to be consecutive. He could do a day here, a day there, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of weird. So, but in both cases, there were civil lawsuits. There were civil outcomes for both Jameis Winston and Rashid Rice. So Winston was sued by his accuser, and he both settled on both cases in 2016. So those are usually kept private. We don't know what he admitted to, or if he admitted to anything, how much they got, nothing. And then, but something I didn't know, that FSU ended up having to pay out nearly $1 million because they were held responsible for him as he committed some of these crimes or these. While he was still a student. Yeah. So almost $950,000, which is why I think it came up in the conversation. Then Rice still will face civil liability because no doubt those people will sue him civilly. So anyway, in Winston, so what did the NFL do? In Winston's case, I'm almost done here.
You're good. No worries.
Yeah, it kind of highlighted the flaws in the university in how they investigate, which is kind of parallel to what the NFL would be, because at that time it was a college, not the league, but it's kind of similar. And it blurred, the line between privilege for athletes and, due process. And then, but the NFL, to its credit, did act in his case without a conviction. So they did they can do it. They can do it.
It can be done.
It can be done. So it was controversial because of that, but it was precedent setting under its policy, a personal conduct policy. And then in Rice's case, it was more obviously straightforward because they did allow the legal case to move forward. And then once it was resolved, he pled, then they did the suspension, which is kind of safer, like, for them to do that. But sometimes as fans, we want these players to be clean and clean up their act and not be doing these things. They're making all this money. Our kids are idolizing these people. We want them to be better role models. So, but in any case, in Rice's case, it was much less ambiguous. So I just needed to clarify that because there's so many different cases that happen. And it's like, what is so really the NFL just does what it wants.
Yeah.
They can do both sides. Like, we can do something after a criminal case. We can do something if there's no criminal case, I think a lot of it has to do with how much public pressure they're getting on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on what I just said? Because I know that was a kind of a lot.
I mean, it's such a great example, Dawn, of how you find this like legal stuff and how it intersects with sports, and I find that so fascinating. Another great like example of that. Yeah, I think the point you made about like how the NFL can actually like deliver, what's the word? Like a suspension or a judgment without the actual crime having been, adjudicated. Like it can happen, and it should happen more often. I think was a really good point. I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, well, I think about it because I do pay attention to the legal cases, and then just lately with even the announcers, well, then they're going to get Rashee Rice back, and no one's mentioning, like, let's remind people why he was suspended. He wasn't suspended for he's not like at home taking care of personal business because he's got a sick family member. He's like doing whatever 30 days in jail or whatever he's doing, and let's not forget the victims. That's why I'm interested in legal cases, is because there are victims. They will never really heal from what happened to them because it's so traumatic, just to get hit. I was on a freeway once when I was a kid. I was not driving, and I was in the back seat, and I was just like talking with the driver. And the next thing we knew, there was a driver on the freeway on I-94 coming at us the opposite direction, a million miles an hour. And we're going a million miles. That was back in the day when the speed limit was like 150. So we were all like going, and because I'm old. And so I still remember that, right? So can you imagine if you got hit? Yeah. And you had, and you see the people walking away that did it, like, that'll stay with those people forever. So they've been injured anyway. So it's all about the victims so I was just curious. I keep hearing about Rashee Rice and that whole controversy with Travis Kelce wearing that dumb shirt, free Rashee Rice. Come on.
That freaking guy. Come on.
Yeah. I kind of get the point of, okay, he did his time, he paid his fine, all that. Why does he have to do with the NFL? Well, he does have to do with the NFL because he's representing the NFL.
Yes.
So that's why.
Agreed.
Oh, Tosh is making 2 appearances tonight.
Oh, Tosh, what's up?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Any final? Oh, you have one final
I do have one
superlative.
more
What
superlative.
you
I
have?
do.
Yeah.
So this is great news, Dawn. This is the best new listen if you're a sicko, basically. So yeah, check this out. Our pal
What?
Dusty Evely started a new
What?
podcast. Yeah,
What?
like it went up today. This is super news. Super new
Today?
news, that is.
I didn't hear about this. Oh
Yeah,
my
new.
gosh.
It happened today. So it's called, Dusty's Substack is called Red Right Clamp. So this is the Red Right Clamp podcast. It's not on podcast platforms yet. I got the link from his Substack newsletter. I saw it in there, like in my email, and I was like, "Ooh, I gotta check this out." So I was listening to it on the way to pick up the kids. Dawn, it is so good. I mean, of course. I mean, the best way I can describe it, when I say it's for sickos, like it's intense. Like 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to follow a damn thing he was saying in the podcast, right? But because in the last 5 years, I've learned a lot more about football, largely thanks to Dusty. I think the way I can best describe it is like, when you're looking at, I'm just keep it with like Dusty's stuff here for a second. When you're looking at like the film breakdowns that he does, and he has like little, short narrative parts to describe what's happening there, always like easy to digest. You have the example to look at, you just walk away learning something new. Now imagine Dusty distilled all of that sort of stuff into just him talking through it, right? With no videos to look at, with no like second to like, stop and kind of see, like look around and kind of process. It's just Dusty like just rattling off the stuff he's got on his mind. It's kind of like he's dumbing his brain out for a second is what it's like. And it's just so good. It's
kind
just
of like I just did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually kind of, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's like the unrefined, pure Dusty thought is what it is. And so I had to text him and be like, dude, this is awesome. And people should check it out, give him some feedback, let them know. Let them know that if you like it. Because for people who really care a lot about that, the scheme stuff and they know the jargon well enough, and they have real interest for learning more about it. It's just like, it's so good.
All right. And again, it's called Red Right Clamp. Right means
that's the name of his Substack
clamp.
Podcast. Red Right Clamp podcast.
Yep.
He put a link to it out on both Twitter and Blue Sky. So and I reposted those. I quote tweeted them,
Yeah, so, I wasn't around much today. I got home just in time for the Brewers game in this. I just want to say something really quick. YouTube friends are real friends. So for those of you in the chat, I believe this. And I had lunch with a YouTube friend today that I met on YouTube. Yeah. So we went and had Thai food, and we've had lunch before, but we made friends on YouTube. And so a lot of people are like, oh, well, those are just, your social media online friends. Those are real friends too. And so you guys in the chat, True North, Iowa Joe, whoever's been here chatting with us. There was someone else earlier, which is a German name, Uber something, but I can't find. But Uber Fleck.
Flecker. There you go. You got it. Uber Flecker.
So whether it's, YouTube or Blue Sky or whatever, Substack or Reddit or whatever, we're still people and we're still friendly and friends. And, I've been able to hang out with Joe a little bit with his graphics and just kind of have some interaction that way. So, so it's real. It's for real. And we appreciate you being here and the support we get. And we definitely want to support Dusty, because that sounds amazing.
That's so good.
That's going to go on as soon as I'm done. After the game tonight. By the way, the game is 17-20 now, last I checked. Correct me if I'm wrong.
True North let us know at the end of the third. It was Bengals 20-17. Yeah, so go Bengals. There's only 1 week this whole year. I'm going to not cheer for the Bengals. The rest of it, I'm right there with my my Houday crew here in Cincinnati.
Thankfully we beat them. I mean, because I would have been just really annoying.
I know, sad if we lost to them. Yeah, they're not great.
So on your second to last superlative with Westendorf. So one of the questions I kind of put up today about our podcast is: are the Packers mediocre or are they more than average Joes? What did Westendorf? What was his message and like with this?
Yeah, I think most of the phases of the game were graded really highly. The team played really well. I think what a lot of people are saying this week is like watching the game initially, it was a little like, what? A little underwhelming, a little annoying. But, and I've heard multiple people, maybe 4 or 5 different people over the course of the week have said on second viewing, they're like, oh, actually, this is like way better than I thought it was. Partially because you don't have like the, the nagging feeling that something could go wrong in the fourth quarter. It's like, once it's not going to, you can actually focus on what they're doing well. And, I think it's like my initial take coming out of the game was, the defense in the first half was amazing. It was a shutout that they pitched in the first half. The second half, I don't know what happened, but it wasn't as good, obviously that like almost 10-minute drive or whatever in the beginning of the second half that the Bengals did was really deflating. But even still, throughout, the offense was doing amazing things. Josh Jacobs had like a career day, and he was sick the whole time too. Yeah. Puking on the sidelines, like just crazy, So like, and special teams were perfectly middling with no blocked anything as far as punts and kicks. So, I mean, that's a win. Like that's like a stellar win. Right. To have the special teams not lose us the game. Yeah. Yes. They played really well. And again, this is not an original thought, but the fact that they won, but still have a lot of things they can improve on to be even better. And in a year when, like you said, like this is a crazy year, it's all topsy-turvy, it's all chaotic, and there's the parity. I mean, I think the NFC is wide open, and I think the Packers like first or second top, odds on first. Okay, there you go to actually win it, like in terms of the gambling. Win it.
Yeah. Well, we're first now. Sorry, I jumped the gun there. Sorry.
Suffice to say, even if like the game wasn't like overwhelming victory, at least on first glance, team's still really freaking good in a year where like there's a little more latitude to not be perfect. Like, yeah, we're sitting real good. Like, so, the episode's title, are the Packers average Joes? No, they are not average Joes. Don, that's why I with it. They're well above average. Yes. And I think
I agree.
We're seeing Jordan Love with the underlying metrics, the stats and stuff. He's one of the best quarterbacks right now, this year. Oddly, Sam Darnold is kind of outperforming everyone. Why did the Vikings let go of him?
Because they're the Vikings.
Because they're what?
Because they think they can draft a young quarterback and develop him.
Maybe not, guys.
Because they're trying to be the Packers.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Instead of trying to be the Vikings, they're trying to beat the Packers instead of trying to get to the Super Bowl, right? That's what happens when you have a powerhouse in your division. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I'm sorry. You didn't really probably want an answer. That was probably a rhetorical question, but I gave you an answer.
You pitched me a fastball there, and I went for it on. True North says, are the Packers Iowa Joes? I think they are, because Iowa Joe is an exceptional human being, and the Packers are an exceptional team. There you go.
By the way, Steelers a 17, Bengals a 27. They had a touchdown.
Ooh, yes.
All right, so let's bring this home so we can watch the end of the game.
There you go. That's right.
All right, man.
We both been very long-winded tonight. Let's bring it home.
It's how we roll. It's okay.
Oh,
it has to be okay. It's our show.
It's our show. We do what we want to. Okay, Don. Bringing it home here. So,
bring it home.
Friends, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out. If you're a subscriber and a football fan, if you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And then, folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it, please, with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and fans of the most storied team in the NFL. I'm losing my voice. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on.
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.